is a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that many people go their entire lives without truly understanding. The way you see yourself is the foundation upon which the rest of your life is built. We talk so much about skills, about luck, about opportunity, and all of those matter, but there's a deeper layer beneath them, a layer that shapes whether you even use your skills, a seat, whether you recognize opportunities when they come, and whether you even believe you deserve them in the first place. That layer is self-perception. The mind is not a neutral observer of reality. It is an architect. It constructs, moment by moment, a version of the world that fits the story you tell yourself about who you are. If that story is one of weakness, of mediocrity, of quiet acceptance, of good enough, then the world will appear to you as something too big to challenge, too dangerous to fully engage with. You'll see doors closed before you even try to open them, and you'll live life as if there's some invisible ceiling above your head. But if the story you tell yourself is that you are the best, that you are capable, competent, and worthy of greatness, everything changes. You start interpreting challenges as invitations, not threats. You walk into rooms as if you belong there, because you've already accepted that you do. Your brain begins to seek out evidence that matches this identity, and when it finds it, your confidence strengthens. That's the psychological loop you want to be eyeing. Belief generating action, action generating results, and results reinforcing belief. Now, this is where people often get it wrong. They confuse confidence with arrogance. Deserves a seat. They think that to act as if you are the best means to look down on others, to puff yourself up with hollow bravado. That's not what I'm talking about. Arrogance is the cheap counterfeit of real self-belief. It's loud because it's insecure. True confidence doesn't need to prove itself by comparison. It's rooted in the understanding that your worth is not dependent on where you stand relative to someone else. It's a private contract between you and yourself. I will show up in this world as someone worthy of my own respect. And here's the fascinating thing. Psychology backs this up. When you act as if, your brain doesn't always distinguish between what is real and what is rehearsed. This is why athletes visualize winning before they ever step on the field. Why performers rehearse not just the notes or the words, but the feeling of mastery. You can quite literally prime your nervous system to perform better by carrying yourself like someone who expects to win. Your posture changes, your tone of voice deepens, your decision-making sharpens. Because you've told your brain, we are the kind of person who handles this. It's worth considering that life is, in large part, a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you carry yourself as though you're playing small, you'll make choices that keep you small. If you carry yourself as though you are meant to be at the top, you'll begin making choices that move you upward. The opportunities are often the same for both people. The difference is who has the courage to step toward them. I've met people who are objectively talented, intelligent, capable, and yet they sabotage themselves because they quietly believe they didn't deserve more than they already had. And I've met others who, by most metrics, shouldn't have been remarkable at all, but who refuse to see themselves as anything less than exceptional. Guess which group built the life they wanted? Not the ones waiting for permission. This isn't about delusion. It's about refusing to place artificial limits on yourself before the world has even had the chance to test you. You will face challenges. You will fail. You will encounter people who are ahead of you in certain skills or accomplishments. But none of that changes the truth that your potential is as vast as anyone else's. The question is whether you will live in alignment with that truth or let the weight of doubt press it out of you. So, when you wake up tomorrow, before you look at your phone, before you get caught in the noise of the day, I want you to remind yourself, out loud if you have to, that you are the best. Not in some shallow, ego-driven way, but in the deep, unshakable way that says, I will show up today as someone who is worthy of the highest standard I can imagine. Because the world rarely crowns you first. It waits to see if you'll crown yourself. And if you won't, someone else will happily write your story for you. And I can promise you, it won't be the story you wanted. Carry yourself as the best. Think like the best. Work like the best. Live like the best. Because the moment you do, you're already halfway there. One of the most dangerous illusions we'll ever face is the illusion of inferiority. It's not a tangible enemy you can see. It doesn't announce itself, and yet it can live inside your mind for years, even decades, without you realizing how much it has taken from you. It begins subtly. You see someone who is wealthier, stronger, more educated, more experienced, and without thinking, you place them on a pedestal. You assume their value is somehow greater than yours, that their opinion matters more, that their life has more weight. And the problem with this thinking is not just that it's false. It's that it quietly erodes the very foundation of your ability to rise above your current circumstances. From a young age, we're trained to compare ourselves. Schools rank students, sports teams give trophies, workplaces publish performance metrics, and social media amplifies every possible opportunity to measure your life against someone else's highlight reel. The culture teaches you to keep score. But here's the truth. Those external measurements, while sometimes useful for tracking progress, are terrible for determining your worth as a human being. When you confuse skill or achievement with intrinsic value, you give away the most important thing you own, your self-respect. No one is inherently better than you. Let me repeat that. No one. People may be more practiced in certain areas, they may have more resources, more connections, or more time invested in their craft. But those are differences in experience, not differences in essence. To see yourself less than because of those differences is to fundamentally misunderstand what it means to be human. You are not a static object to be measured once and filed away. You are a dynamic, adaptable, evolving being with capacity to grow into almost anything you choose if you refuse to let inferiority dictate your path. Think about the moments in your life when you held back, not because you couldn't do something, but because you assumed someone else could do it better. That hesitation is the direct offspring of the inferiority illusion. It whispers, "Why try when there are others more talented than you?" And if you believe it, you won't try. That's how this illusion robs you. It doesn't take away your ability, it convinces you to leave it unused. There's also a deeper psychological cost. When you live under the shadow of comparison, you stop living according to your own standard. You start making choices not based on what excites you or challenges you, but on what will make you catch up to someone else. Your life becomes a constant chase for approval. And the tragedy is that the people you're trying to match aren't even thinking about you. You are fighting an imaginary competition in which you are both the contestant and the judge. Everything deserves a seat, and you've already decided you're losing. Breaking free from this illusion doesn't mean ignoring other people's successes or pretending you can't learn from them. Quite the opposite. It means you stop seeing their success as a threat to your own. You start to understand that someone else winning does not mean you are losing. The world is not a single podium with one gold medal. It is an arena with room for countless champions, each in their own way. If you want to dismantle the illusion of inferiority, you have to train yourself to separate worth from status. This begins with the way you speak to yourself. Stop saying, "I'm not as good as them." Start saying, "I'm capable of becoming as skilled, as skilled, as impactful as I choose to be." Then, act accordingly. If you admire someone's ability, learn from them, but do not worship them. If you see someone doing what you dream of, use it as proof that it's possible, not as evidence that you've already failed. When you strip away the layers of comparison, you start to see life as a personal journey rather than a constant scoreboard. And here's the paradoxals. The moment you stop obsessing over being better than others, you actually become better at what you do. Your energy shifts from insecurity to growth, from anxiety to mastery. So the next time you feel that familiar pull to shrink in the presence of someone impressive, remind yourself they are not better than you. They are simply further along in certain areas. You have your own path, your own potential, and the same human capacity to rise. Refuse to kneel before the illusion of inferiority. Stand tall, meet the eyes of the world, and live as though you are already worthy, because you are. And the moment you accept that, you've taken back the power that comparison tried to steal. Believing you are the best means nothing if your actions fail to reflect that belief. This is where most people stumble. They adopt the mindset for a few hours, maybe a day, they walk a little taller, speak with more conviction. But then, when life pushes back, they retreat into old habits. They forget that the identity of the best isn't a thought you visit occasionally, it's a standard you live by daily. Excellence is not an accident. It's not a burst of inspiration you feel once in a while. It's the byproduct of deliberate, repeated choices that align with the person you claim to be. If you say to yourself, "I am the best," then your words, your work, your discipline, every detail has to confirm that declaration. Otherwise, your belief collapses into self-deception, and deep down you'll know it. And once you know it, your confidence will begin to rot from the inside. The truth is, your mind is always watching your actions. It's keeping score in ways you may not consciously realize. When you cut corners, when you slack off, when you break promises to yourself, your mind takes note, and it adjusts its estimation of you accordingly. If you want to truly act as if you are the best, you have to live in a way that earns your own respect, because self-respect is the root of authentic confidence. Without it, every victory will feel hollow, and every setback will feel like confirmation that you were pretending all along. A seat. This is why acting as if you're the best isn't about play acting. It's not some performance for the people around you. It's about becoming. A seat. It's about aligning your daily behavior with the highest standard you can imagine. That means showing up, prepared, doing the extra work no one else wants to do, refusing to accept mediocrity in the small things, because those small things stack up to form the big picture. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who genuinely seem to operate at the highest level. What separates them from everyone else? It's not just talent. It's not even just opportunity. It's the way they treat every action, every choice as a reflection of who they are. They have habits that match their identity. They've decided that no matter how ordinary the task, they will execute it with excellence. And here's the thing, discipline is contagious within yourself. When you demand excellence in one area, you begin to demand it in others. You start eating better because you want your energy to match your ambition. You start showing up on time because you respect your own word. You start speaking with clarity because you respect the weight of your own voice. Over time, this builds a kind of internal momentum. It stops feeling like an act and starts feeling like your nature. Of course, this also means you will make sacrifices. To live as the best is to constantly trade what is comfortable for what is necessary. You will say no to distractions. You will push through boredom. You will do the work when no one is watching. Most people aren't willing to do this, which is precisely why they remain most people. Acting as if you are the best means choosing the path that leads to mastery, not the path that gives you quick relief from effort. It also means holding yourself accountable at a higher level than anyone else would. If you truly believe you are the best, you cannot afford to excuse your own laziness or dishonesty. You cannot hide behind good enough. You have to be ruthless with yourself, not in a way that destroys your spirit, but in a way that protects your potential. Because every time you allow yourself to operate below your standard, you teach yourself that your standard is negotiable. And once your standard becomes negotiable, you are no longer acting as the best, you are acting as someone who occasionally pretends to be. So the real question is not whether you believe you're the best. The real question is do your actions prove it? Do your habits, your discipline, and your results speak for you even when you're silent? Because when they do, you won't need to convince anyone of your value. They will feel it in the way you move, in the quality of your work, and in the consistency of your results. Live in a way that your daily actions become undeniable evidence of who you are. Let excellence be your default setting, not your special occasion performance. And remember, greatness is not built in grand moments. It's built in the small, often invisible choices you make every single day. If you're going to claim you are the best, then make sure the life you live gives the world no choice but to agree. When you walk into a room believing, with absolute certainty, that no one is better than you, something changes. Not just in you, but in everyone around you. People can sense it before you even open your mouth. It's in your posture, the steadiness of your gaze, the way you carry yourself as if you belong. Not because someone invited you, but because you decided you do. That kind of presence doesn't just happen. A seat. It's the byproduct of everything we've been talking about, how you see yourself, how you reject the illusion of inferiority, and how you align your actions with your belief in your own excellence. Confidence, when it's real, has a ripple effect. It alters the atmosphere of every interaction. A seat. Others respond to you differently, not because they're being manipulated, but because people instinctively calibrate themselves to the energy you project. If you present yourself as unsure, they'll treat you as if you need to be led. If you present yourself capable, they'll treat you as an equal. And if you present yourself as the best, as someone who embodies competence, integrity, and purpose, they'll start to see you through that lens. This is how leaders are born, not appointed. But here's the important distinction. This isn't about performance for the sake of attention. True confidence is not loud, not brash, not desperate to be noticed. In fact, the most powerful presence often comes from people who don't seem to be seeking approval at all. They're simply grounded in their own worth. They walk into the room not asking, will they like me? But thinking, will this serve my mission? Will this align with who I am becoming? That orientation toward purpose instead of validation is what separates the genuinely confident from pretenders. And let's be honest, people are hungry for this kind of presence. Most of the world is caught in a fog of doubt, insecurity, and hesitation. When you show up as someone who's unshaken, who knows who they are, you become a point of stability in the chaos. That's why confidence is contagious. It inspires others to elevate themselves, to stand a little taller, to speak with more conviction. They see in you a reflection of what's possible for them. You become, in effect, a walking permission slip for others to rise. The interesting thing about this ripple effect is that it doesn't require you to be flawless. In fact, part of the magnetism of real confidence is the willingness to be human in public, to make mistakes without crumbling, to admit what you don't know without losing your composure. People don't follow perfection, they follow resilience. When you can stand firm in your value, even in the face of failure, you signal to everyone around you that worth is not fragile, that dignity isn't lost when things go wrong. That message is far more powerful than the image of someone who never stumbles. Of course, there's a responsibility that comes with this. When your presence influences the people around you, you have to be intentional about what you're transmitting. Confidence without integrity is dangerous. It manipulates rather than inspires. But confidence built on character, discipline, and a genuine desire to contribute, that changes lives, starting with your own. If you want to test whether you truly carry this presence, pay attention to the rooms you enter. Do people become more alert, more engaged, more open when you're there? Do conversations sharpen? Do opportunities seem to find you without you chasing them? That's not luck. Deserves a seat. That's the natural gravity of someone who believes in themselves so deeply that others can't help but feel it. And here's the final truth: you can't fake this long term. You might imitate the posture, the tone, the style of a confident person for a while, but without the foundation of real self-belief and consistent action, the cracks will show. The ripple effect of unshakable confidence isn't the result of pretending. It's the result of living in alignment with the best version of yourself until it's no longer something you're acting out. It becomes who you are. So when you walk into the next room, don't shrink to fit. Don't wait for permission to stand tall. Don't look around for someone to tell you where you belong. Instead, carry yourself as if your presence is a contribution in itself. It is. Let the world feel the weight of someone who knows their value and refuses to negotiate it away. Because when you live that way, you don't just change how people see you, you change how they see themselves. And that is the kind of influence worth having.